Something, what digital, what?
Oh, it's just my business. Actually, I'm at work.
Digital product.
I'm saying digital products.
Oh, okay.
But especially if somebody gets into music.
All right, it's 5:30. We will kick off the very first ever Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. Let's see, we got the mayor in attendance for it for this historic moment. You got a ribbon you want to cut or anything like that? All right, as far as our calling to order, we have everybody present except for Alder Norell. Alder Norell is not here, and I did not receive notification that he was not going to be. With that, then we'll open up to public comment. Anybody in attendance have anything they want to say for public comment for the committee? Is there anybody online? Nope. Yeah. Yep. Going once, going twice. Public comment is closed. All right, then we'll get into presentations, and we do have a presentation this evening. It's going to be on the Red Arrow Park Beach Access Improvements Update. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brock.
I can even hear you back here.
All right, can everybody hear me? So I wanted to do an update on our kind of our biggest park and rec project this summer is our Red Arrow Beach Access Project. So basically what we're doing is we're at Red Arrow Park. We have, our existing parking lot and beach, and and you all know this, but just a quick update. We had some issues with access from the parking lot down to the beach. Parking lot's up high, beach is down low, some steep grades, not great paths. So with this presentation, we're going to kind of go through the goals that we had with this project, our funding sources, the planning and permitting that went into this. Currently, we are in the construction phase, so we'll give a little update on that, see where we're at with our timeline, and then what's next with this project. Project goals, improved accessibility to the beach area. Like I mentioned, we've had comments in the past, parents, everybody trying to get down to the beach, struggling to pull their coolers down the hill, through the sand, through the beach grass, just not great access. We didn't have steps, we had some steep concrete ramps that we wanted to kind of replace with better accessibility options. Improve safety. So we've had some accidents in the parking lot with people traveling at high rates of speed and doing kind of dangerous things. So with this project, we wanted to improve parking lot safety. We wanted to improve pedestrian safety, and the combination of the two. And then the last goal here was to create a kind of a lakefront event and gathering space that the whole community can go to and enjoy. Funding for this project. So the city graciously, the alders approved capital budgets in 2025 and 2026, $500,000 each year. So phase one, $500,000. So we kind of made a design that, if something were to happen where we didn't get future funding, we could do something for $500,000. 2026, we got this phase two funding. Bringing the project up to $1 million. We can do a really great project, everything we hoped for $1 million. And then with that budgeted funding, we were able to get WIDNR, Wisconsin DNR Knowles Nelson Stewardship Funding in the amount of another $500,000, and then a T-Mobile Hometown Grant for $5,000, and then the Manitowoc County Board of Realtors also donated $7,000 through a National Association of Realtors grant. Other than that, we had a few various individual bench donations. So that being said, our total budget was up to $1,557,000. So the planning phase. So going through over the years, we kind of developed this plan. So here's the overall, kind of difficult to see, but we turned the two-way road here. We are designing a one-way into the park. This is still two-way, the south parking lot. Once you go through the curve, now it turns to one-way. All the way through, opens up to Green Street with a path out to Green Street. So with that, we were hoping, to reduce the amount of traffic, because you're not having back and forth traffic, it's just one way. This also includes these bump out islands, or not really an island, bump outs. That narrows the driving lane, also slowing down traffic. We went back and forth with doing speed bumps, but we've gotten some concerns with speed bumps and how cars handle them. So what it came down to, we just narrowed the driving lane. We added angled parking. There was slight reduction in parking, but as you can kind of see, we also included a walkway from Green Street into the park. So that kind of opens up Lincoln High School's parking lot, Green Street parking. This distance from here to here is about the same distance as here to here. So it's not a far walk. It's pretty close. So we weren't overly concerned with the loss of about 20 so parking spaces, because with that loss, we got a lot of safety improvements. Other part of this plan is, the main reason for this project was better accessibility to the beach. This path right here is a fully accessible walkway. Grades less than 5% all the way to the beach. As you can see, it's switchbacks. It's long, because with that steep grade, we have to, account for that. So to get our walkway grade pretty low, the slope, we had to switch back through. With this path, though, we have access to what is a stone seating area, kind of an amphitheater-style seating area. You have access to the main walk and stage and event plaza area, and then you also have access down to the beach. So that ADA access kind of covers all the gamuts, and then it crosses right to the bathroom, right to the ADA parking stalls. It's a good thing for the park. I mentioned the event gathering space, large center area where people can get together, concerts, events, lots of options for that space. 3 stairways going down to replace kind of those steep concrete sloped ramps that were there in the past. Just walkways from here all the way through and up. So that was the plan. Here's the rendering everybody saw, really neat. I think a lot of people were excited with the gathering space. Just the whole aspect of this park. Permitting, it wasn't a lot of permits, but there were some things that, so basically there's portions of Red Arrow Park that are historic landfill. There are costs associated with testing for that, disposing of that waste. So anything we excavate that is landfill material, we have to take to a licensed landfill. So doing that, so we getting just the permit for that was complicated and time consuming and kind of right at our deadline where we wanted to start construction. Another kind of interesting aspect was the rare species survey that was triggered by our stormwater permit and the Knowles Nelson grant. So when we received our grant and when we were trying to get the permit, they let us know that there may be a species called sand reedgrass along the lake there. So we had to get plant surveys done and make sure that wasn't there before we could do any excavation. But we got those surveys done and right on time again for start of construction. So timing couldn't have worked out any better. Here's where we are today. Here's a picture kind of right where you enter. So the left picture, the entrance, the curve is behind us where you come in off of 9th Street is behind me, looking down towards Lincoln High School. So those are the bump outs. That shows you how narrow that space is. So you have to go pretty slow. Raised curb. You can see the walkway. That's the main walkway that goes down to the event center or plaza area. Here is an increased patio area off of the existing bathroom building. So that just gives a little more space for people to congregate up top. Here, the sets of stairs, the north staircase going down, that circle, there'll be pavers in the middle. But here's the north staircase, closer to Lincoln High School, goes down to a sand trail, or the main walkway, goes right through there. Here's the south staircase, same thing. Your switchback comes through this one. And it also, I think there's another sand walkway that goes this way. So you have options. You don't have to follow the pathways, but they're there to help. Here's the main staircase. View from the top, looking down. This has got one set of stone seats down already. This picture was taken today, I think. But you can kind of imagine the tiered stone seating going up the hill. That's the ADA access path right there. And right there, there's a gap by the steps currently. Pedestrian access to Green Street. This was something, we wanted to see. A lot of kids from Lincoln High School come to the park for lunch or after school. We wanted to increase that safety and give them a path. Previously, they would have had to walk down here and then come up a steep concrete slope to get into the parking lot, or jump a barrier. But now we have a path that goes right down through there, back to the school. Here's some overhead shots. I know the mayor shared these recently, but they're worth getting another look at. It's kind of neat seeing where we're at. You can see there's a gap there yet, that gap there yet. But yeah, it's starting to take shape. Another view, here's the beach. We have probably 60 more feet of beach this year than we had just last year. The water's down on Lake Michigan, and 2020 the water was up to here. So we just have to plan for Lake Michigan and how she moves. So here's a view towards the south. You can see the extent of the beach. That's a stormwater outfall. But basically, Silver Creek Park is right up there. And then a view the other way. So we have a lot of beach right now. That's MPU. There's a lakefront beach right there. There's the treatment center, wastewater treatment center. So timeline, we're still on schedule for getting everything open for July 4th weekend. So nothing has changed with our current timeline. There's a few things, railings, we're gonna have some temporary railings in place because our railings aren't gonna be created, aren't gonna be made until fall. But other than that, there's some landscaping that might need to be planted, but for the most part, we're right on schedule. All right, so what's next? So with our budget, with our grants, we do have around $250,000 available yet in our funding. So something we've been discussing since the beginning, unsure if we were gonna have funding for this. It wasn't included in the renderings or the plans, but we would like to do an open air shelter over that event space. So something that provides shade, something that provides, a center point for events or concerts or just people wanting to get out of the sun at the beach. So here are some renderings of something we've been working on with Abacus Architects of a sort of shade shelter area at that. This is the big event center, the big circle. This is the stone seating. This is sort of a cantilevered shelter we've been designing. Here's a view from the top. We incorporated the Red Arrow Infantry Division symbol. Wouldn't be super visible from the ground, but we get enough shots from airplanes, local airplanes, and we take drone shots, and I think it would be a kind of a neat aspect to this project, kind of cap it off. Here's a night view. So that's all I have for presentation. We do have an item on the agenda where we can discuss. So.
Quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, hold on 1 second, we'll open it up for discussion. So then presentation is done, so then we have the first discussion and action item, which would be 26-0470, discussion on Red Arrow Park beach access improvements. So first off, Brock, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the updated pictures, by the way, with literally it being today. So that was nice. I did see the mayor's post on Facebook today, which was nice as well. Just a couple of questions that I had off of that, since I knew we had a discussion for today. I don't usually like to read comments on Facebook, but I do, just sometimes I can't help myself. There's a lot of them with the 20 parking stall reduction. And then obviously it's mitigated, which I'm glad you pointed that out, mitigated because we have the Lincoln parking lot over there. And then the trail is connecting kind of close to that, to Green Street. Is there any, it's been a while since I've actually been in the parking lot for Lincoln. Usually I, drop my kids off on the street. Is there any like barrier, isn't there a fence around it, around the parking lot? Or-
So we used to have like bollards. Is that what you're asking? Like,
Well, I guess I don't know what I'm asking. There's no barrier, like if somebody parks in Lincoln parking lot, like they can literally just go
Oh,
right
yeah,
into that far corner and go uninhibited. There's no like
yeah.
fence or anything like
So
that,
there,
right?
there is a fence, I think, but it doesn't, nothing blocks off the entrance to the parking lot. So basically if you were to measure where, you enter the Lincoln High School parking lot off of Green Street, you would park in there, you would walk out that same entrance and just cross Green Street, you'd be on the path to, get into the park. So,
Okay,
I measured it today, just online, just to see like what is the distance, and it's basically the same from the south parking lot in the park to the bathroom building compared to Lincoln High School's parking lot, the entrance
yep.
into the to the bathroom building.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting.
And then Lincoln I'm assuming doesn't have any issue with people parking in there to go and use the beach? Like we're not gonna have issues later on?
I mean, we've done turkey trot and things like that at the park, like our family has, and we've always parked there. I'm sure a giant event, we would discuss that with them, but just
Right.
a Sunday or Saturday morning, if there's nothing going on at Lincoln, I can't speak for Lincoln, but I wouldn't see
Right.
there being an
I
issue.
didn't know if you reached out or anything, or had
Not
any discussions that way.
specifically, no.
Okay. And then is there parking on Green Street or is it a no parking area?
I think there's parking,
Currently there is.
Okay.
It's not marked, but it's a line enough for parking both sides, yeah.
Okay,
There might
so that's not included in losing that 20. So so realistically, we are probably adding more, given the fact of the trail kind of going to that piece of it and feeling like part of it then at that point.
yeah, that's how we felt about it.
Okay,
And and looking at just the safety aspects, and like, we did go through different parking angles. We went straight ahead where we would get the most parking, but then with the one way, it didn't make a ton of sense to do straight in parking. We looked at, I think we ended up doing 60-degree parking. We looked at 45-degree parking, that took away more spots. So we went through a lot of things to try to get as many parking spots as we could.
Yeah.
We added some parking on the curve coming in, that first curve. So we did add parking spots there, which helped us from losing less. But so yeah, we did look at it quite a bit.
yeah, and I agree with going with the one way and then how we did it with the parking. Like, I think that's perfect, like you said, especially for safety and everything else. I mean, even if you look, what Neshoto did, they went one-way traffic as well, on that part. I mean, it just makes sense given the fact of everything. So that's good there. The only other question I had, and I do like the shelter idea, on that, and then however you guys go with that, that's good. The only question I had is do we put volleyball like nets and stuff down there?
We used to, and we're planning to.
Are we going to?
Yes, because
Yeah.
right now we have a lot of beach, right? So
Yeah.
we do have it in our renderings, and we do have quotes for the equipment. Seeing how there's already sand there,
Yeah,
it's fairly inexpensive to install some
Okay.
poles and some nets. So
which is good. I've gone to Neshoto a bunch of times and played volleyball just because it's fun to be on the sand and stuff. And I was like, oh, if Red Arrow does that, that'd be fantastic. So,
yes, so that is in the plans.
okay, sounds good. That's the only questions I had. Alder Eckelberg.
Yeah, the shelter, or whatever you call it, the last thing, that's a pretty neat design. I kind of like that, and I think what that does is it adds permanent lighting, I'm assuming that, otherwise what do you do? Put up a telephone pole and shoot a light out? That would be ugly. This really dresses it up. And just don't go spending $1 million on neat lighting. We could get by for a couple $100,000 probably. But I had a question on the stone seating. How high are those, I guess? Or what are we shooting for as far as the height of those stones that you sit on? I mean, the picture made it look big, but that doesn't mean anything because you're honing in on it. And
Yeah. I believe they are 24 inches buried 2 inches. So 22
okay,
inches.
so about 20. Okay, that's fine. And
Between 18 and 22.
yeah, and the other thing is the parking lot. I forgot which one I went to, whether it was the sand sculpting or one of the other things that go on down there at that park. And I don't even look for parking. I just automatically go into Lincoln's parking lot. And you're right, there is a fence up. But there's also an exit for your car at the very far end. And so all you do is walk till the end, and as soon as you cross the street, you're basically in the park. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, Alder Dunbar.
Yeah, I have a few things. One, I'll touch on the parking as well. I'd like to see some contact with either Lincoln or MPSD, just some form of, yep, we're okay with city parking there, just so in 6 months or whatever, it doesn't become an issue. There's a fender bender out there and somebody's wondering who do we complain about that. I would just like something written or something, done about, yes, people can park there. The other part, I'm actually on the opposite side with the shelter that you showed. The way it's leaning and all that, even in the rendering, you brought up like it's a little bit of a shade break, all that. Well, it's east facing, the people are on the west. That's gonna cast shade on the band and or the people sitting from 8 a.m. to about noon. And after that, it's just gonna be some random shade off into the sand. And if we are doing it for some sort of shade, it either A, needs a rework. If it's for a rain shelter, it would probably work, but how many people are gonna get to a beach day parade in a rainy day? So if we are going the route of some sort of a cover, I do think it needs a rework from the rendering. I know it's a rendering it's very far from the final project, I get that. It's an east-facing stage from the audience. So again, the sun's coming up that way, it's setting behind. Everybody's still gonna be in full sun from noon on. That additional money or whatever, I would love to see put back into the concession area. I'd like to see a bigger concession area, and with that bigger concession area, that's somewhere that the Parks Department could possibly see a little funding. Rental space for parties, maybe an area that companies or corporations could rent out for a brat fry, or the city could donate the space for a brat fry. American Legion just did one at, like Festival has one almost every weekend, you see it. I feel that additional funding could do a lot more good in that concession area. Obviously, it wouldn't be as much, so a nice sign, something would be good, but that's where I'm at with that lean-to coverage area. That's all I have.
All right, just kind of expanding off of that, is that rendering the only thing that we're considering like that way, or is that just like a kind of a concept?
So it's in construction design, at least for the footings, because we need to get footings installed for something, maybe if it's not now, in the future. We're not scrambling, close to scrambling, because we want to get that footing done before the concrete circle is installed, so we're not tearing that out in the future. So we're at the point where we're designing that. It's not funded or anything, the design is funded, but that could be a future phase as well. We want to get the footings for that structure done ASAP before the circle's complete, so.
So then in the phase of where we're at and everything else, I'm assuming, but just kind of for record, but assuming then that shelter piece, that's not a July 1st type thing, that would be just a complete separate, whatever funds we officially have over after July 1 when it's done, then so we could be like, hey, do we want to do this? We have footings or whatever else. Go
Yep,
from
the
there.
foundations will be done before July 1st.
Okay.
With the covering of patio, pavement area. So,
Okay, so then there's nothing we have to do on that. That was just, what we're
nope, just
considering.
sharing it and seeing what everyone thought, and.
Gotcha.
And I do want to talk about, I guess, to touch on Alder Dunbar's, the angle of it. So we talked about what kind of angle we want, and I know the sun is in a certain direction. There are trees above that portion, so you would still get shade. We chose that angle because if you're up top and you're looking towards the lake, that angle matches kind of the slope of the ground there. So you're not seeing this giant obstruction in front of Lake Michigan. And then when you're at the bottom, it's kind of that same angle going up. So it's not, we wanted it to be something that wasn't super obtrusive because we don't want to block Lake Michigan view, but we want something that was also kind of look neat and kind of an anchor area, an anchor for this project. So that was kind of the
And
angles
you
of
don't
that.
want to block the entertainment for the people sitting more up on top, you go,
Can't see it, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, so the shade is there, during midday for people to hang under, but that was kind of the idea.
Yeah, and absolutely. And if it's there to be kind of more of a part of the area, understand. If it's pushed as a shaded area, it's not gonna generate that much. So even if it is something we go with, I wanna make sure when the public and when we push like, hey, this is gonna be it, it's not called a shade shelter, something like that. It's just, it's a part of the venue sort of a thing, so.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think, like, and I get what Alder Dunbar is saying with that piece of it, like, fully. But I do think from looking at it from, if you just go to the park and then you see that, like, that adds that, like, wow factor, to just everything, when you drive up to it. The only other question I have then, also going off of Alder Dunbar's comments, is, have we looked at, like, the concession area and all that, and, like, what that would cost to
I don't have
revamp?
cost estimates, but we have looked at it with an architect, and currently, the south end of that is, it's a little hallway that we call the concession stand, just a hallway. But on either side, there are changing rooms, so you have a lot of space in the front of that. If we knocked out some walls and put in a legitimate concession window, we could have a legitimate concession stand there, whether that's just like for rentals, or if like somebody wants to sell ice cream, I don't really know, or not ice cream, because we have Cedar Crest right there, but like something like that. That wouldn't be terribly expensive. Doing an extended overhang, so that is why we have the patio there as well, because future thoughts are an extended overhang to grow that area. So yes, so we have looked at that stuff, and we do think that's a really good idea.
Right, I remember a year or so ago when we first sat and talked about it, it's, obviously Red Arrows in my district, it's something I've tried to closely pay attention to and all that. I remember that's something we had talked about. And we mentioned at one point doing, like the outdoor shower, like a rinse-off shower kind of in that area, or the lower spigots to rinse your feet off if you've been walking in the sand and that. And that's more what I just wanted to draw the attention to, is I think that existing building and/or a rework of the building, I think is definitely worth taking a good look at, because that has the potential of bringing, obviously, something back into the city in terms of rental space and people being able to use it, nonprofits being able to use it, sand sculpting, if we actually had a space, there's always the food trucks and all that, but if we can get, that area for people to use and sit in a comfortable spot, as opposed to the city hauling 300 park benches and picnic tables there that weekend. If it's already something set, it's that much, I feel, potential down the road. And that's what I wanted to bring attention to. So thank you.
Alder Reckelberg, I saw your
Yeah.
hand up.
If you jury-rig what you had just said, are we going to lose room in the changing areas and what have you? And if so, I would rather not, personally, I would rather not do it. Leave things the way they are and just fess up and say, next year, we're gonna put X amount of dollars in the budget and do it right. In other words, let's not, at this stage of the game, we're gonna have over 2.5 million or so into this project. Now's not the time to count pennies. Maybe it takes an extra year or two in the budget, because I know next year in the budget, I think, is another big project at one of our parks. So then the year after, which we spent there, we can spend there, and let's do it right. Even if it means adding on to the building or building a whole new building with more showers and changing rooms and and a concession stand that actually works, you know, so that's my opinion. And you should go to the bank with that, because usually my opinion means save money, and I don't mind spending a little bit as long as we do it right. Right, Mayor?
Nope, denied. Mayors can't talk. No, just kidding. Go ahead.
That was thought from the very beginning with the shelter, and the shelter on what would be the concession stand and the concession stand. Concession stand was hopefully kind of build it and they will come. Hopefully there's enough need to do the concession stand, right? To get people there, we see that there's a lot, and then do the concession stand the right way. And same thing with the shelter and the shade, like whatever shade shelter we call, you know, those types of amenities are things too that people like to donate to, you know, like the sidewalk isn't necessarily something people like to donate to, but the shelter, you know, like Rotary paid for, you know, half of Two Rivers one, things like that become a little easier to sell, you know, or for extra funds to do it even better. So those are why those are kind of add-ons at the end, and why they're not getting done right away, but the shelter, the shade shelter has always been a plan, that's why we right now is important to get that done.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and I agree the footers and all that, like I said, just the up, I have a 9 and 11-year-old. We go to Red Arrow twice a week through the summer, and every single weekend, my kids point at that and say, are they selling food? I've never once had them, when we go to Two Rivers, them point at the clamshell and say, can we get one of those in our community? And that's my biggest thing, is I just feel like that a rework, bigger bathrooms, bigger rinsing, bigger changing rooms, the community is gonna appreciate more than a shade shelter. And that's why obviously I'm not saying one versus the other right now. I just wanna make sure we've done our due diligence of seeing what is actually going to be better for the community before we invest $250,000 or so, you said is roughly where we're sitting at for the additional.
All right, any other discussion? Alder, you haven't, you good? I'm good. All right. All right, then we will take no action on this. It was a good discussion. Thank you, everybody, for chiming in. Place on file for that. Next is gonna be 26-0462, zoo donation tube request for rainbow trout.
Move to approve the consent agenda, how's that?
What? Oh, shoot, we gotta do consent. Yep, sorry about that. Thank you. Yeah, because we did skip right over that because of that discussion piece. All right. Yeah, so before that, we'll have 26-0468. We have the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to remove something from the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, then I'll need a motion.
So moved.
Alder Reckelberg, and a second. And a second, Alder Bry. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, now we'll get on to it. 26-0462, zoo donation tube request for rainbow trout.
Yes, so we have received one donation. We are planning to receive a second donation, totaling $16,281.20, both of which would be earmarked for purchasing. We already received these, but paying the invoice, I suppose, for 5,000 rainbow trout and associated feed and other things with our rearing pond at the zoo. So, because these funds were and will be put in the donation tube, we're just requesting to utilize that funding. Total in the donation tube right now is $78,830.28. That does not include the $8,000 that we are expected to receive from the Zoological Society. So after we remove that, or after we use those funds, it'll be down to 70,000 and change, so.
Sounds good. Yep, on the memo, it looks, that's what those funds are for, is for those trout. It'll be good to have fish in there. Kind of piggybacking off the last discussion, Alder Dunbar, every time I take my kids to the zoo, they go down and look at the TV and see if we can see fish.
Yep.
And so if we have extra little bit to upgrade that camera and TV, that'd be great. But otherwise, I think it definitely makes sense. So I'll be looking for a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And it passes unanimously. Okay, next item is 26-0465, request to utilize Ayers and Associates for design service for Henry Schutte Park Playground replacement design.
Yeah, so basically, we are requesting to hire Ayers as our consultant for this project. We have hired them in the past. They did our concept design for this. They're, as the memo kind of states, they have a strong knowledge of the setup, and we really enjoyed working with them. So there was $250,000 budgeted in for 2026 for design for this park. So we are just, I guess, requesting the ability to not send out RFPs again, which we did for the concept, or, yeah, request for proposals, which we did for the concept design. So we don't want to do that again, knowing that we, you know, really enjoyed working with them and think they did a good job previously, so.
Okay, and my opinion, I would definitely agree that not having to send it out and do rework again is obviously fiscally responsible. So if you enjoyed working with them and they feel they did a good job and it's budgeted, then I would be looking for a motion to go and approve that.
So moved.
Okay, we got Alder Dunbar and Alder Bry. Okay, any discussion? Alder Ruckelberg.
Question, I have no problem, but can you refresh my memory? How did they charge us last time for the design? Was that on an hourly basis or a percentage of the construction cost?
So for the concept design, we asked for a lump sum from them. So we gave them a number. We gave everyone we went out to a number and what they would give us with that. So that was kind of what we did
You
with
gave
this.
them a number which you said not to exceed or
Not to
hopefully
exceed,
less.
yes, yes. And then
They
they sent us,
put in a quote accordingly.
yep, a proposal of what we would get for that number. And that's kind of what we are doing with them this time too. See.
I would have no problem with that, provided that their response to you is equal to or less than the method that they did last time. If it's more than, then I would be hesitant and I probably would ask for quotes. But otherwise, I would support this with that understanding that if it's equal to or less than the methodology on their first quote that got them the job, I wouldn't have a problem. I trust you. So I would support this, Mr. Chair.
Sounds good. Any other discussion? Then all those in favor?
Aye.
And passes unanimously. Okay, then we are to 26-0464. Discussion on Manitowoc Marine Band fundraising agreement. Were you here for that? Okay, if you want to come up now, if you had something for that, you can.
Yeah, we put it on.
Yeah, in our pre-meeting paperwork, we had basically the memo and all this stuff on there that you want for
Pretty
the
pictures and all that
fundraising.
sort of thing.
Pictures, yep.
Yeah, the building being the oldest building in the city's portfolio, being over 100 years old, it needs some help and needs to get pretty, is one thing, but it would be more functional for our band, because that's where we primarily practice, but also, since it's a rental facility, it would, I think, help improve that. So we put together what we believe as laymen, that what perhaps could be used, should be done to improve the building. That's what this list is about. I don't know that it's terribly all-inclusive, but we would hope so. So we're looking to, and how to do that, we've begged and pleaded with the mayor in our finances every year, and there's just not anything in the municipal budget to cover what needs to be done. So we're trying to be creative and come up with other methods to push it through. So getting private funding to help pay for it, and then the city shares costs with that and get a discount repair, if you will, so.
Sure. Yeah, and everything was pretty self-explanatory in the packet, at least I think. The only question that I had with it, like right now for the fundraising piece, do you have a plan to, because it was like a 50-50 split. And I think it said 400,000 is what you anticipated is what it was. So is there a fundraising plan for that 200,000 that you guys?
Not solidly put together yet. The first step from my perception is to see if the city will support it.
okay.
Before we do all that work. And if you're behind it, then we start
Then
putting
you
all
go.
that together and go with
Okay.
it, so.
And then, assuming, let's say it gets the, the full support, we're good to go, like, how soon do you think you'd be, like, or is it too early to even think?
It depends, probably, I don't know the process within the city and, getting contractors and pricing and all that sort of thing. I'm not quite real sure. We'd probably be working together, trying to figure that out.
Trying to figure out, so it's just too early for that. Okay,
Yeah, we, if I may, we just kind of discussed timelines, right? So like, we're trying to get our 2027 capital requests in like shortly. So I'm assuming this would take at least a year to get, that's quite a bit of money. So I don't know that we have an exact date of when, if the city were to want to borrow for this match. If it was 2027, probably 2028, I'm not sure. It just looking ahead, it'd be tough to budget, I would think, right now for this to happen in 2027, just because the fundraising, we don't know.
Yeah, there's
Yep.
only a couple months away and we gotta
Yeah.
shake the trees to see what fruit we can get
right.
out there.
Yeah, and I can totally understand that and appreciate it, just as asking the questions, just so we had it, on record at this point. But as far as the idea of it, I fully support. I mean, buildings, if we don't maintain them, are obviously then they become junk. And, then you get into a situation like, the school district right now. And if we can have a separate entity help out with that funding to go and maintain it, and especially given the age, I'm all for it. It's kind of no different than like a grant, if you think of it that way. Like why not support it and go do it? So, and I think the official recommendation was to refer to finance, because finance would have to go and get behind it as well. So, I personally would have no problem going and making the recommendation or for us to go and refer it to finance. But we'll open it up to discussion. Actually, we'll be looking for the recommendation to send it to finance. If that gets support, then we'll open up for discussion. Go ahead, Alder Dumber.
Yeah, obviously, same with Council President, or, Council Chair, sorry.
I'm Cummings.
Yes. I think it's a great idea, and I do believe it's something that is needed. One thing I would like to see before we pass it to finance, or maybe this would be a part of the presentation of finance, is a little bit of a plan of fundraiser in terms of, maybe it's just, we're doing these 3 to 5 things, we sort of have them planned. That way that finance kind of would know, like, okay, they are thinking 6 months ahead on this, and this isn't something that we're gonna kind of put together once we get. I understand, you don't wanna say, hey, we're gonna do this thing, and that, I'm not looking for you to set up a show or anything like that. But if you could get like, all right, we're looking to do a show once a month for these 3 months, and then due to winter, whatever, it drops to every 2 months. Just a brief idea of how the fundraising is going to go over, make it 6 months, 1 year, 18 months, whatever realistically you think that timeline is. And just say like, our plan is every 3 months to do something, every 2. This also comes from someone who sits on finance, so I know I'm gonna be seeing this, at that point. I would like to just see something a little more narrowed down, for that side of things. And I just think that would help with that finance discussion a lot of, okay, they've planned this, again, I understand it being loose, because who's gonna plan a concert, or whatever it is, 18 months out. But if you just say, hey, we're looking for something every 3 months, we wanna do something every 2, that. I think that would be really good to see before we set
Our expectation for fundraising, if I can address that, is not so much doing what I perceive as, I'm being sarcastic, but popcorn sales or bakery sales or anything. We're gonna have to bring up a couple $100,000, and we anticipate we'll be going out to the West Foundation or Lakeshore, those sorts of organizations to get lump sum things. And hopefully they'll go pretty quick. So putting a timeline together is putting together a handful of applications to various organizations.
Yeah, and if timeline doesn't work, that, just saying like, here's 5 other organizations that we're looking for, here's the
Okay.
5 companies we're looking to talk to.
So more specifics is what you're
A
asking.
little bit more, and I'm not even saying that this, you not having this today is gonna prevent me from saying, yes, let's pass it to finance. I would just, before it gets to finance and before we get to the budget talk, just saying like, here's the 5 things, the 5 ways. I would say maybe 1 and maybe 10. I'm just throwing a number out,
Check
right?
that box.
Yeah, just saying,
Answer that
here's
question.
our plan.
Okay.
I don't need specifics on those plans. I don't need you to say on July 4th of 20, I don't need to know that stuff. Just here's the checks, like you said,
Okay.
of what we're gonna do. Because I think at that point, when finance, because at that point, we're literally, we're looking dollar to dollar sort of a thing. And something comes across, say, they have 5 dates or they have 5 ideas, they have 5 letters that they plan on writing versus other person that says, we want this.
Yep.
Every time I'm gonna lean towards the people that have a plan leaned out. So,
Be
it's something,
prepared for their question before we walk in.
if you will,
That's
yes.
Good advice. Okay, we'll do that. Thank you.
And then just as a point of clarification, Alder Dunbar, that was great for you to give them the heads up for that, but for our business today, it's just to go and get past the first hurdle of saying, yep, we support them going to there.
Agree, I guess I meant it more as, I don't wanna say stipulation, but for my vote, yes, I just wanted to verify that they're willing to do that before step 2.
Sure,
Because if they're just like, well, no, what we have is here, then I would be like, well, I'm not gonna approve today.
gotcha.
So that's why I brought that up. But yes, thank
Gotcha.
you for the
Yep.
clarification.
Any other discussion before we open it to vote? Go ahead, Alder Reckelberg.
Yeah, with this is a proposal. We've had proposals in the past that we've approved, and so there are things in progress now that we've committed to. For example, and I probably got the title wrong, but the skate park or whatever over by Miracle Field. And so we're committed for, I don't know, whatever it was, 100,000 or 200,000, I don't remember the exact amount. And that was one of those kind of matches, 50-50. The guy that presented it like you did says, if the city does this, I will raise, or our organization will put up the other half of it. So I know that's a done deal in progress. I don't know if it's finished yet or not. And I think there might be 1 or 2 other things that I forgot about that are like that we've kind of committed to, and either the mayor's put it in his budget, or we finagled some money because we saved it here, we could put it there. So I have no problem passing it on to finance without any additional information, because you either like the idea of a 50-50 or you don't. All I'm saying is that if you do come to finance, if we could have a sheet of paper that says, here's the skate park, it's 50-50, it's a done deal, money's in the bank. Oh, here's the 400,000, it hasn't been approved yet, so I know what have we already approved and what we're committed to and what are people asking us for. Because his 400, I have no problem 200. If the mayor wants to put it in his budget, or he says, hey, we found some, you know what I mean, maybe there's another organization out there before next month comes to you and says, well, we want, instead of the skate park, it's something else in the parks, and it's gonna cost 200,000, and we'll come up with 100, you come up with 100. Once again, nobody's approved it, it's a good idea maybe, but I like to see what have we committed ourselves to, and it's a done deal, and along with, here are the people that came forward and what their proposal are for the 50-50 or 75-25 or whatever that's not approved, and, here's for this year, next year, the year after, or whatever, so.
That seeks a question that I have, then at what point are we actually, we being the city, committed to spending this money? I mean, it isn't today that you're committing, am I right? There's still.
No, it's not
We come
today.
back again and.
Not
yeah.
today.
We're approving the concept to move on to another committee.
Yeah, to talk about it.
Who's probably gonna worry more about the finances of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, because we'll be coming back again with, well, here's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Yep, and then you'll have financial blessing, and it'll be, this is the full plan, and we go from there, yep. This is just that first approval phase to say, yeah, we support if you get the financing, and that's all good, then let's, figure out exactly what we
You
got.
like the idea.
the easiest thing is if you convince him and he says, yeah, I'll put it in my budget, well, that's an easier task than for us to say, okay, we approve it, and now we gotta come up with the money, and we have to fight over you know, he might have use for this money here and we've got a use for it there. That's usually never a good idea. It's nice to come together and agree, so.
It hasn't worked yet. I've been on my knees with him and it's just. Yeah, so.
Brock, you had your hand up a little bit?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that, I think before Scott and the Marine Band start, fundraising for this, that's where we need that fundraising agreement, with the city. So I don't know exactly, I know finance will know better than I do, but somewhere that something's gotta go first.
It's a horse in a cart. I can't approach the money people.
Well, you're gonna get Sean involved,
Yes,
because, for example, if he hasn't put it in and he isn't going to put it in, Sean has to present to us, are we going to take it from here, here, or here? And then is the mayor going to approve that? So I'll let the mayor speak, but I'm trying to come to what we can agree to, you know?
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah, Alderman Reckenberg brought up a perfect example with the skate park. That was probably a 2-year process because they came to us and said, we would like to do this. It wasn't on the city's list of things that we had on our parks, right? Because it just wasn't. We had other things that we have to do, just like, you know, this field house. We put a lot of money into the field house over the last few years with ADA accessibility and other things as well. But this never rises to the high level, you know, of going over, you know, Shooty Park like we're talking about next year, right? So that's where the skate park, we talked 1 year. They said, yep, we would like to have this fundraising agreement. It was a little easier with them because we had one with them in the past for the first time we went through it, but this is gonna be no different. And we said, you can go ahead and start talking about raising money. We're not gonna put money in the budget this year, so I'll tell you, we're not gonna put it in 2027. But there will be a footnote, just like there was for the skate park, that this is coming. Council, if you approve this now, I asked council to just approve and say, if you raise the money, yes, we will commit to putting it in the next year's budget. That's exactly what we did with the skate park. So there was a little footnote there that said $100,000. It's not in 2025, I think at the time, or 24 or whatever. It will be in 25 if their part of the fundraising agreement is raised. So that's what I would recommend doing this year. So you would look at work being done if everything is perfect in 2028.
Yep.
Yeah, so I would recommend going in the same route, which is what you're doing tonight.
Yep. Okay, any other pre-discussion? Okay, then I'd be looking for a motion to pass this on to finance so we can get to that next step.
Motion to pass to finance.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Go ahead, Alder Dunbar.
Just real quick again, like I said, just with finance, the more set numbers there are, the easier and quicker. You know, you go to finance, you say, hey, we want to raise some money, we're going to say how much, if you know. So obviously, motion it and all that, just if you can say, hey, we're looking to raise X amount if you match X and/or something along those lines, it just helps the number crunchers that we have to kind of process that across, so,
Okay,
yeah, that's all.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, then we'll be looking to make a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Going to finance. You guys will see this again. Thanks for coming in and appreciate the effort. All right, next is 26-0466, resolution dissolving the Special Events Committee.
I guess it's kind of.
Pretty self-explanatory.
I move to approve.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead, Alder Reckelberg.
Since he didn't want to speak on it, could you explain? No, I'm just kidding. You gotta have a sense of humor in this world, you know?
Since I'll just do that. All right, so then we got the motion and the second. Discussion's done. All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Debating if it should be consent or council. Has to go to council. Yeah, it is a resolution, you're right. Yep. All right, the next is 26-0467, special events policy update.
Okay, so since we are planning to dissolve the special events committee, we have a different process for special event applications and approvals and fee waivers moving forward. Basically, without the special events committee, we have a group within the Parks and Rec Department that has a lot of experience with this, and we will review these events, these applications, and kind of using the same parameters that were used by the committee, without having to have representatives from all of these different departments in one room for an hour every week. We're able to kind of make those decisions within our department. We'll still send out to fire and PD, any public safety concerns, legal if there's concerns as well. Obviously, we won't work in a silo, but we think there's a lot of, it'll be more efficient just within our kind of department instead of making this whole thing. One thing I wanted to note, kind of a point of emphasis with this was to figure out a way to close streets better. We've been doing it obviously for years with the special events committee, and streets will have input and everything. But I don't know that it was always done to the best of everyone's ability. I think just time-wise and personnel capacity, it's been difficult. So we are intending to add a non-waivable fee, which you may hear about from people who want to hold events. If you were to get a call about this, that's kind of why we noted it here. But a $250 non-waivable fee to create a proper street closure plan, which takes time from probably our streets department doing this. So that is something we want to incorporate for new events with street closures only. Existing events that have a proper plan that can just be tweaked a little bit to meet these standards wouldn't be charged, but a new event requesting a street closure, we would charge that. So that was kind of an addition that I wanted to note and for your kind of review. So.
Okay, Alder Reckenberg.
I probably didn't read it right, but I understood it to be 250 for, you said, for a new event. But if I pay the 250 and I have the event, next year, if I have the same event, I don't have to pay the 250 because it's a repeating event, right?
Yep, and we have a
Okay.
base, even if it's like a little tiny change, like we can deal with that. 'Cause
Sure.
it's the base of
Yeah.
the street closure.
I mean, I'd have no problem as long as it's, you're estimating that's what it's actually gonna cost city time
Yes.
to put it together.
Yes, a
And,
few hours for, yeah.
Just, if you wanna do something, you gotta pay for it, and we're not making a profit, we're just trying to cover our costs. So I wholeheartedly, I like the idea, especially that once it's done, you don't pay again unless going from the south side to the north side, maybe you go, yeah, that's not, just a little change.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Brock?
Yeah, when we were working on this, I had the same question about that. It's kind of a forever thing. Have we looked at the difference between things that plan on being a one-time? Recently we've had like the bike races in town. It's kind of a one-time thing. Has there been any thought that's gonna be the same fee for a one-time use versus a permanent use? Has there been any thought on, maybe $300, this is a permanent thing, and then like $100 if it's a one-time thing?
We have not talked about that, but I mean, it's the same time to develop the street closure plan.
Yeah.
Either way, whether
If
it's.
it's, yeah, I say if it's not worth it,
Yeah.
minimum.
And maybe the $250, they don't have to pay it again, they'll come back. I don't know, but,
Okay.
but yeah, so it was same amount of time, so we just kind of, I didn't think of that aspect of it, but,
No, I just didn't know if there was any
Yeah,
thought.
nope.
So that's fine, thank you.
That's a good point, because the bike races used to be an annual event, then all of a sudden they haven't showed up for a while, then they're back. So let's say they come back and they haven't been here for a couple of years, let's say you charge them the 250, because you gotta set it up. If they don't come back for the next 4 years and then come back in the 5th year, would you charge them the 250 as long as their layout is the same and they didn't change the layout? I would assume that once the layout is done for that doesn't matter if you're annual or whatever. I like that idea. I could certainly support that.
Yeah, we would have the street closure plan in place. If it's the same thing, we wouldn't have to do any more work, and it would be proper street closure,
Super.
safe and everything.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, then I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, the next, the last item is discussion on date and time of future Park and Recreation Committee meetings. So I know this is the very first one. We had it scheduled on here, or scheduled initially, it's for the fourth Monday of every month at 5:30. And then obviously this one we moved because that was Memorial Day. But I thought, you know, even though I can go and say, hey, this is when we're meeting and that's it, I thought it'd be good to have, in Brock's recommendation as well, we have a discussion on when we officially want to make that, which obviously, like I said, we can change, but I just want to make sure that it's good for everybody. So is there any other time or that we would want to meet or date? Go ahead.
I don't really have a recommendation for time. I'm fine with the current schedule. I just wanted to do a second check that at this point, we're technically operating after council meetings, right? Normally meetings meet before, so stuff that's being presented is voted on at the next council. Is there anything that would ever come about, like, this needs to be voted on by the end of the month, but if we're not meeting until the 23rd or 24th, then it's not gonna make it to council? So I guess it's not necessarily a do we need to change, it's just we need to be vigilant enough to be working 30 days ahead of any deadlines we may have. Because, you know, taking this next one into account is what, June 15th? It's a really early one, right? 'Cause it's June 1st, so I think it's June 15th. If the deadline for something is June 14th, we're kind of hurt because we're operating after, you know, that sort of a thing. So again, it's not so much a need a change. I'm happy with this date. I think it's fine. Just a reminder that we all need to make sure we're operating essentially a month ahead due to operating after the council meeting. So,
Yeah, and
not the first time in the
I was-
history of the city that a council's
I
happened.
was just gonna say, I've been the chair of many committees before, and if there is ever a deadline or there is something, then I'll be getting a hold of everybody saying, hey, either this is going straight to council, or we say we're gonna meet right before council and we hold, instead of like a committee of the whole, we come in at 5:30 and then say, hey, we're 6 o'clock and we're having this meeting, we gotta hammer this out, and then it goes to council at that time,
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. We've done it before. I just wanted to
Yep.
do the due diligence of bringing up the fact that we're
But-
operating after,
Yeah,
so.
but realistically, that can happen for any committee, no matter when you meet. So, and that has happened, I think, in every one that I've had at some point, where there's been something. So, Alder Reckelberg, you had your hand up?
So you said the fourth Monday of the month.
That's what I initially told the mayor, yep.
And that, okay, and you already brought up the 2 points. The committee chair has the right to bring it right to council if there's an emergency. And in the past, usually the chair has not only just brought it in, but he's made a few phone calls and says, oh boy, by the way, here's a heads up. I was surprised at the lack of 10-minute meetings or 5-minute meetings we have before council. I mean, because at the county board, it was almost a religious thing. Crap happened. You
Yeah.
gotta get a grant in, it's gotta be signed yesterday. And so they say, show up 5 minutes before the meeting, and we're gonna have a committee meeting, and you get there and you go, motion second, it's done, it's there, so. We have a way of handling it, you know, so, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just doing due diligence of
Yep,
bringing it up.
I brought that up, so I wrote my note correctly. 'Cause,
all right. Alder Bride, do you have any? No? Brock, you want to bring up? Go for it.
Just for special events, sometimes it's nice, you know, the past is here, that you can go right to council. Otherwise, it's a longer period for it to get approved, but that's fine.
Now, that all being said, here's one quick thing, just so you guys know, our next meeting then would be June 29th. I will not be here June 29th if we meet on June 29th. As you know, I run the flag football program. That's our last night, our Super Bowl. My team fully plans on being in the Super Bowl that day. And then I do a pizza party for all the kids after the fact, so, which has been our end of the year tradition. Would it be, was it?
22nd,
Oh, it'd be the 22nd. Oh, I'm sorry.
because I won't be here the 22nd. That's
I was gonna say, either way, that would be the game to get into the Super Bowl, so. But I would be available on that Wednesday, the 24th, if we wanna just move it for that one.
June, I may not be available
Because of,
for in-person or
Correct.
even because of my surgery
Yep.
situation.
yep,
But
I fully realize,
I will do what I can, you know, I mean,
yep,
I can tell them, wake me up, put it in front of me or something, so we can have a quorum, but
does June 24th work for everybody else then? Does it work for you, Brock?
Yeah.
June 24th work for you? Okay,
I think we'll be back in time. I'm out.
So plan commission always meets the fourth Wednesday.
okay, how about June 25th? That works too. It'd just be another Thursday?
Well, I think we have plan commissioner on too.
Right.
We'll see, but.
So do we want to do the 25th work? 25th will work? All right, all the Dunbars, 25th work?
25th.
25th work for you, Brock? All right, so then our next meeting, we'll go off schedule again to the 25th, which would be good anyways, because then I wasn't the only one. Jody probably would have, or Alder Bryce, sorry, probably would have missed it. Obviously, Ruckelberg would have missed it, so good. Oh, I'm glad I didn't have the only conflict. Otherwise, I felt bad a little bit, but
At least it wasn't the first one.
until I punched
It
my
was just the
ticket to
second
the
one.
Super Bowl.
No,
then I
remember
went to
second
felt bad.
place.
I thought you would probably say something like, why don't we just meet at the end of August? The water will be warmer, the beach will be ready for us, you know?
Yeah, we're gonna change the location to Red Arrow. So, all right, any other discussion on that? Okay, well, thank you guys for being flexible on that. And then I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And we're adjourned.
Thank you.
There we go.